Take your steering wheel now and turn right. We now want to move toward the real positive tools. How do we deal with soul wounds? And if I had a way to hand you a tool right now, I'm going to try to figure out some way to get some kind of a mock-up tool I can take. This is where we're starting to move now into the practical solution. What do you do about these things called soul wounds? This is the first step. You're going to give your partner and yourself a gift, and that's an acronym for 4 things. This exercise is designed to help us get in touch with what is really underneath our anger. I want you just to say to yourself right now, for purposes of thinking and discussing, that anger is your friend. It's like I think I mentioned the very first hour we were together last night, it's like a light on your dash. It tells you something's needing attention. A belt, fluids, water, transmission, oil, you name it. And even now, I've got a fairly new Honda, and it even comes on when my tire pressure's down. Oh my gosh. What else are they going to start telling me? So I want you to view anger as a friend in that regard. Anger is a secondary emotion. You aware of that? It's something that responds to something else. So if we have a soul wound, what comes out of that is usually anger in those various gradations from low level all the way to rage, that Carol mentioned earlier. Did a great job on the slide, by the way. Guilt. Anger, we believe, is packaged in 4 basic areas. In other words, the source of your anger can either be flowing out of guilt. Think guilt trip. Doesn't it make you angry when somebody puts you on a guilt trip? When you've done your best, it's calling your mother-in-law and you think you're doing a great job of being attentive to her and blessing her, and then the first words out of her mouth are, well, it's about time you guys called. I've been sitting here for 2 days worrying about you. Where have you been? Ever experienced one like that? So what rises up in you at that moment? Injustice. Anger, yeah. Inferiority, the I. And also inadequacy. I'd like you can scribble this in your notes. Inferior has to do with your self-image. How you view yourself, caused often by soul wounds if you have a negative self-image. Inadequacy has to do with performance. It has to do with how you measure up compared to someone else. Or are you able to jump the bar that someone has set for you? Or perhaps you've set for yourself, where you're constantly falling short of a performance standard that somebody has created for you. The third one is fear. Fear is a very complex thing, and I tried to figure out a way to boil it down. I'm going to show you a slide in just a minute that breaks out what I think are the kinds of fear. And then lastly, T for trauma. Trauma is just a fancy word for pain. It really is. Those trigger anger. So think about the times that you've been angry in recent times and ask yourself, which one of those most closely is associated with the source of your anger? It's a very, very helpful tool. Okay, guilt. Let's just unpack these just a little bit further. Feeling blame for something in the present, which has its roots in your past, is often the way guilt comes at us. Sometimes it's packaged in shame. Interestingly, if you study the Hebrew origins of the word scorn and shame in Psalm 69, and kind of put those 2 concepts together, there is an amazing word picture underneath the word shame. The word picture is like a tree which has had its bark stripped away. So it's exposed to any little beetle that wants to come along and bore into the core of their being. That's how shame works on us. It exposes us. So when we've had a shaming experience, we have the potential for darts, the fiery darts that the Scripture speaks of, just going right into the core of our being. We go, man, where'd that come from? So guilt and shame are first cousins. Inferiority, as I mentioned, self-image, performance. Fear. Fear is often a learned, deep, and emotional reaction. It produces in us either a fight or a flight. We either want to move away from it or we want to fight. And then lastly, Trauma can come in many forms: physical, emotional, and both subconscious and subconscious. So I think that gives you just another layer of understanding there.